Hey everybody, Greg Sailors here with Zoweh. So thankful for you this Christmas season. And as we draw to the end of the year, hey, it's end of year giving here at Zoweh. There's this great story we want you to listen to from our friends Chris and Maggie Greenway.
So I'm Chris.
And I'm Maggie, and we would love to tell you our story of becoming wholehearted.
Yeah, so both of us grew up in Christian homes and lived our childhood and adult lives in the church. For me, there was always a heaviness about my faith and really a fear associated with it. You know, there was a fear that I wasn't doing enough. There was definitely a fear that God would call me to something really unpleasant. And there was also just a heaviness that I felt like I was a spiritual disappointment.
And for me, I had a more intimate relationship with God, but I always felt like I needed to strive and be a perfectionist and be the best in whatever arena of life I was doing, and that got in the way of my faith at times.
Yeah, so 4 years ago, we were in a really rocky place. You know, we had some serious health challenges with one of our kids, and that put me in a really dark depression. And I was able to function at work, but I was really emotionally unavailable to my wife and my kids for most of the time. You know, in this kind of dark night of the soul, there were some red flags that came up in my faith because I'd grown up in the church. I'd lived my adult life in the church. I'd heard so many testimonies of how Jesus met people in their darkest hour. But in this place I was at, God was absolutely silent. I mean, I knew something was wrong or something was missing, but I had no idea what it was.
Yes, at this point, I was starting to wrap my head around the idea that maybe Chris would walk away from faith. He was on this quest that either this faith thing was real or it wasn't. And with that, trying to find the answer to that, there was a real possibility that he would walk away from faith. And I just prayed and prayed and prayed that wouldn't be the case, but even more so that God would just break through and meet Chris in his heart and just take away whatever was blocking.
Yeah, and God did begin to move. You know, I spent months just kind of searching, trying to figure out what was missing. I'd read a ton of books, looking for answers, you know, Bible studies, you name it.
You met with our pastor.
I met with our pastor. Counseling, all sorts of things. And then in that period of searching, I what seemed like randomly stumbled upon a Zoweh devotional, the 14-day Heart of a Warrior journey. And some of the stuff that Michael had written in the book that was put in the devotional just absolutely resonated with me. Things about, you know, his experience feeling like God was distant, God was disappointed, you know, the often chanted Christian mantra of, you know, give more, serve more, sin less, try not to make God angry. I was like, oh my gosh, somebody else has felt like this. I thought it was just me. So after reading the book, you know, a few months later, I got up the courage to sign up for the Heart of a Warrior Encounter, the weekend retreat, and ended up going in fall of 2019. It was just an absolutely life-changing event. I mean, it felt like a bit of a Hail Mary spiritually because I'd been so stuck for so long. But in one of the appointments with one of their medics, was just another man who's a little further down the journey just to sit and listen to your story, I had an absolute breakthrough moment as we were praying together and just going through wounds, vows, and agreements, and stuff just started coming out that the small things from my childhood that I hadn't thought of in 20 plus years. And it was after that, just kind of releasing that, I began to experience God and his love in just ways I'd never had before. And literally in my faith, nothing has ever been the same since that moment.
And Chris came home from that weekend, and I was so excited. I felt like my biggest prayers were answered, and they were answered beyond what I could possibly ask or imagine. And yet there was part of me that was skeptical. Like, I was really hopeful, and yet I think I was guarding my heart because I didn't know if it would stick. And it has stuck. The man who went away that weekend was a different man than who came home and who has continued to lead our family. he has become more and more wholehearted through the last 2 years, just being with the Zoweh guys and just talking in these conversations and being mentored and led. It's been such a joyful journey to watch Chris, and our children see it, and our community sees it, our families see it. It's been just a joy. And yet I just have to say, at first it was really a little messy, but yeah.
Yep, there's a lot of ground that had to be taken back. Ever since I came back, I just talked Maggie's ear off about the Women's Deepening Weekend. You've got to go. And, she's eventually like, enough already, I'll go. And so when finally last spring, 2021, the Deepening Weekend was able to happen, I was so excited for her to get to go because I know how transformational it had been in my life. And it was so amazing to send her off to the airport and then each day get the calls, be like, oh, this was the most amazing thing today. And here's what God had for me. And it was just epic to live it through her eyes and see God coming for her heart like he had for mine.
Yes. And a couple things that just God worked so mightily that weekend for me was this whole idea of outstriving other people to get God's attention. And God just spoke very clear to me that I have his attention 100% of the time, and that we all do. We don't need to compete for it. And that he also spoke over me the last morning I woke up, and it was as if somebody was talking to me, like walking past my bunk and talking to me. And I felt like God said to me, you are my pearl of great price. And the message in that, it was twofold. One was that my heart matters too. For so long, it had been my children's hearts that matter and Chris's heart that mattered, and me trying to kind of keep them all at peace. And this was God saying, your heart matters too. You are my pearl of great price. You have big value. And my name, Maggie, means pearl. So it was like God agreeing with my parents that I have wonderful value. So it was awesome.
Yeah. So this journey towards more and more wholeheartedness has just been awesome. And we're so just thankful for what God's doing in our hearts, in our lives, and being on this adventure together. So,
and we're so thankful for the Zoweh team and for the community of people that we have begun walking with the Zoweh groups. We're so excited to see where the Lord leads and just get to be part of this team and this ministry.
Man, what a story. So thankful for Chris, so thankful for Maggie, and all the good that God's been up to here in their life and through Zoweh. They're such great partners. We're so thankful for them. And hey, we're thankful for you. As you're looking at this video and considering your end of year giving, would you think about including Zoweh in your end of year giving? We would so appreciate it. If the timing is right, it would be such a blessing. God bless you and have a Merry Christmas.